In some parts of the Old Testament, particularly in Deuteronomy, there is an undergirding wisdom that people, it seems, accepted as self-evident. In Deuteronomy 28, for instance, we're told that those who disobey the Lord will be struck with madness, blindness, and confusion. In John's gospel, the disciples are operating under this presumption that those who are blind or otherwise disabled are so because of sin. They ask Jesus, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? The disciples can be forgiven for this presumption, as it's not only found in Deuteronomy, but in other parts of the Bible, and in particular the wisdom literature, such as Proverbs. This is also something that I think we moderns can be guilty of. We might say that if someone is poor, it is because they don't work hard enough. We might say, or in the more extreme forms of Christianity, like the Word of Faith movement, they might believe that if someone becomes sick, it is because of some deficit of faith. But what the disciples didn't understand, and what we often don't understand, is that the Bible is not a cohesive statement about how the world works. And while parts of the Bible might indicate this karmic mechanics of the universe, other parts actively repudiate it. The Bible is a series of conversations held over 3,000 years. As our understanding has grown, the subject of the text has changed. And don't think that this is just an example of the Old Testament God being ready to wreak havoc for the slightest error. The Old Testament itself attempts to correct the understanding found in Deuteronomy. The later prophets, like Isaiah, are adamant in their assertions that God's punishments for sin cannot be discerned by material wealth, physical ability, or stature. For so often it is the poor who are made rich and the weak who are made strong. In Job, we're also shown that what might appear to be divine punishment is nothing of the sort. Job's friends are convinced that he must have sinned to invoke God's wrath. But we're told over and over that Job is a righteous man. And Job's demand for an answer is met with God's own set of questions for Job, leaving us with no clear answers as to why. In Ecclesiastes, we're shown in an almost direct repudiation of Proverbs that things just happen, and all we can do is love the Lord until our dying day. It's easy to fall into the belief that bad things happen to bad people and good things happen to good people. Oh, that the world really worked that way. It's easy because accepting that sometimes bad things just happen is scary. It means that bad things can just happen to us without warning and without cause. But they can, and they do. It means that we can do everything exactly right and still come up short. And the disciples today believe, as Deuteronomy believes, but importantly, Jesus does not. Jesus stands in the tradition of the prophets in Job and Ecclesiastes. He's not saying anything new here, but he is speaking the truth. Neither this man nor his parents sinned. If one is born with a disability or develops one over time, it's not their fault. It's not the parents' fault. Sometimes these things just happen, and there's nothing anyone can do to help it. But for Jesus, the important thing is not the cause, but what one does with what they are given. The blind man serves the kingdom by providing a demonstration of Christ's power to heal his blindness and providing his testimony through his courage to the Pharisees. Perhaps you know someone with a disability whose life serves the kingdom in their strength and determination, not in spite of their disability, but because of it. Their experience of life in a different way from those of us who are able-bodied is an indispensable vision of how God works through everyone. And importantly, those with disabilities are image bearers of God just like the rest of us. But the quality of divine life that they show us is similar to that quality of divine life shown to us in Christ himself throughout many stages of his life. There was a time when God in the flesh could not walk, could not speak, could not feed himself, and could not live without the help of others. There was a time when God in the flesh was bound, unable to move, beaten and bloodied. And those who live with disabilities, physical, mental, or otherwise, show us these aspects of the divine life. And they show us that what is true for them is true also for us. We cannot do this alone. We all need help. And there's no shame in seeking, asking, needing, or receiving help. Just as icons reveal a window into heaven, so do our neighbors serve as a window into the divine life, as each person carries with them that image of Christ, through whom all things were made.